one of the following is a macroeconomic problem? What was your answer? A. Only agricultural sector is one part of the macroeconomy. B. Answer is B. Okay, which one is the answer? B. International price of oil, I won't consider to a macroeconomic problem. It has macroeconomic consequences. It's one item there, of course. It's a kind of a important industry which has a global industry spread all over the world. I don't consider that to be a macroeconomic problem in that sense. Because it concerns only one industry. High food price inflation also indicates high inflation is a macroeconomic problem, is a microeconomic problem. Which one did you write? C. All right. Business cycles are short and medium run phenomena. Which one did you write? A. Okay. Cyclical macroeconomic theory assumes given amount of resources and technology, does not deal with monetary and fiscal policies, assumes full employment of resources. What do you? B. A. Cyclical macroeconomic theory always deals with stabilization policies, fiscal and monetary policies. So, answer is A. That's why you have cyclical changes and you ought to control them. All right. Technological improvements are incorporated in cyclical models or growth models, long run models, growth models. Technological improvements are usually not considered. They are given, technologies, resources are all given in long run and short run models. They are not part of a continuous process the way it will be modeled in a growth model. The problem is you haven't seen the growth model. Okay. Output in long run macroeconomic models, you remember it was the long run macroeconomic models has a vertical aggregate supply curve. So, it will be entirely demand determined. The answer is A. Output in long run macroeconomic models, answer is A. Unemployment at full employment considers only frictional unemployment. Potential output is also the full employment output of the economy. A. In recession, the output gap is negative, true. Output growth rate is negative, not always. We have in India recession right now, growth rate is still positive, around 5%. It has come down from 9%. We have a recession, but growth rate is still not negative. All right. In stagflation, potential output falls, prices are falling, economy is in recession. C. Stagflation mein economy is in recession. In a cyclical peak, the economy is at full employment, not necessarily. You can reach a shorter peak temporarily, near full employment maybe, less than full employment, and then you come down again. So, answer is C, the output of the economy can be above its full employment level in a cyclical peak. Over full employment, the word over full employment is used there. Stabilization policies, just same old question, in some sense connected. Answer will be B, are meant to counter the cyclical changes in the economy. Stabilization policies. Okun's law, answer is A, is a relationship between unemployment rate and growth rate of output. If you have any problem, you raise your hand, we will stop and have a discussion. Classical macroeconomists believe that C, government should not interfere in the matters of the economy. Monetarism is a branch of the classical school of thought. Next is topic 2, measurement of aggregate variables. The national income accounting methods recognize the services rendered in trading activities is correct. Consider the output of the self-employed is not correct. It ignores the output of the self-employed, housewives, etc. Deduct the value lost due to environmental degradation. That's also not true. I haven't heard that. Some social accounting may be going on, but not national income accounting methods. Depreciation is basically depreciation of capital only, which is machines, tools, factories, buildings. GDP at factor cost is obtained by adding indirect taxes to GDP, deducting indirect taxes, not adding. By adding subsidies to GDP, yes, because subsidies are not part of GDP. By subtracting subsidies from GDP is not correct. So, answer is B. Okay? Very good. Inventories from current output are included in GDP. I told you to read Mankiw. Mankiw has a lovely description of a baker, what he does with the unsold wheat or bread or whatever. He considers them to be part of the current output. In future, when he sells it, he doesn't add that sales value to his income. Basically what he does, he considers that as something sold to itself. If I have something produced which I cannot sell, in an accounting sense, I show that amount as I have bought it myself. But actually I have produced it, I didn't really buy it, but in future I will sell it off. National income contains only pre-tax values, absolutely correct. I told you repeatedly, national income contains only pre-tax values, number 19. National income does not contain any variable after tax deduction, all gross numbers. Rental earnings in national income includes earnings from technology on rent. Rental earnings is just not house rent only. There are few more items which are included under the income group called rent. Suppose you develop a technology tomorrow, then you rent it to a company, earn a fee, it will come under rental earning according to national income conventions or practices. But then every individual country will have a way to calculate them and group them. That's also true. What Indian statisticians are doing may not be exactly what the American statisticians would do with the same item. They have the freedom to do whatever they want to do. So, often for inter-country comparison, what we do, we go to an international body like IMF or World Bank or United Nations Development Program, UNDP, to look for data, because their data is based on one set of definitions. Then they go to every country and then collect it and compile them, and therefore comparison is possible. But if you simply take American data, Chinese data, South Korean data, Indian data, and then convert that into an international currency like dollar through an exchange rate and say, now I am comparing them, that's very incorrect. Because these numbers in these countries have been computed using very different methods. And this is theory. Because theory says one and the countries practice them differently. All right. Income from abroad are included in GDP, excluded from GNP, included in GNP. Of course, they are part of GNP. Income from abroad, then you get from you travel from GDP to GNP. Retained earnings are included in GDP. Of course, they are part of corporate profits, are not a part of current economic activities, incorrect. And C, are excluded from disposable income, incorrect. Disposable income only excludes corporate profit taxes. Retained earnings and dividends both are part of disposable income. Disposable income contains non-personal interest income, absolutely correct. Non-personal interest income is deducted in personal disposable income or personal income. it's not there. But under disposable income, non-personal interest income is there. The area where most people lost marks was national income accounting methods. When you get back the exam papers, you will see here is the place where you have lost marks. 23 answer is A. Personal disposable income contains interest income is incorrect now, because the non-personal interest income is not there in personal income or personal disposable income. Contains dividend income is absolutely correct, because what you do for personal income, you deduct corporate profits, then add back only dividends. So, you leave out corporate profit tax, retained earnings, everything. Transfer payments are a part of national income, not true. They become part of personal income or disposable income, but transfer payments are a part of past economic activities. The savings I made, they were lying with somebody, say the government, and then after retirement, government hands them over to me in the form of monthly check or whatever. Government transfer payments, pension for instance. In other countries, you have many other transfer payments. You have unemployment insurance, welfare payments, all sorts of things. We don't have them. So, transfer payments are a part of national income is incorrect, a part of current economic activity is incorrect, are a part of personal income, yes, definitely. A retired person has a personal income and his income is transfer payments often. 26. Contributions to social insurance is when you are active, working, are not a part of national income. Well, contributions to social insurance are definitely part of national income, because out of my total income I contribute to unemployment insurance, provident funds, whatever, are not a part of GDP, are not included in personal income, yes. Because to calculate personal income, I have to deduct contribution to social insurance, correct? So, the answer is 26C. If anybody having any problem, raise your hand, I will stop. Anybody. Is that depreciation part clear? Depreciation relates to capital. So, it is called CCA, Capital Consumption Allowance. Did you see the name in national income? Environmental degradation can be so many things, starting with human life to natural vegetation, quality of land, anything. It can be partly man-made degradation, man-created, it can be nature-created. National income relates to the total output basically. It is very selfish, it does not care whether environment has been destroyed or not in the process of creating it. You are creating something, take the mining sector, classic example. Mining sector output is part of IIP. Let me give you this example. Now watch TV when they show mines, and there is a lot of news, halla bolla on TV, in government circles, etc., about illegal mining. There is illegal mining in Rajasthan, there is illegal mining in Madhya Pradesh, there is illegal mining going on in Karnataka. One minister is in jail even, a BJP minister, still in jail. And I have heard of theft a lot, because I grew up in West Bengal, where there's a West Bengal, Bihar has a lot of coal reserves. And theft I have heard so many times. Forget about theft. Now, when mining is going on, you have to remove the top. So, all that vegetation gone, topsoil gone, environment is degrading, of course. But what you show in as part of national income? IIP. What's the total mine output? No minus adjusted for losses are there. If they had done that, they would have done a different thing, a very good thing long time back. They never do that, they still don't do that. But some social accounting practices may have developed. The details I don't have, where they may be doing it. that you say this is a positive amount, but also to create the positives some negatives are there, value the negatives, deduct it, get a net value only, not the gross value of output. All right. They were showing the other day Brazil. Brazil has this famous thing called rainforest, and then they took an aerial view. The rainforest, suddenly there is a scar. From the top, at a height, it looks like a white patch, brown patch. Rainforest gone completely. Again, a huge. They cut out, taken the logs, sold it off, now they mined. There's a lot of iron ore, which is also happening in India. Illegal mining, a lot is going on in the iron ore areas. Karnataka illegal mining is primarily in iron ore. Various places have various things. In Karnataka is iron ore, in Rajasthan something else, etc. Contribution to, and then pollution of industry pollutants, destroying the river, local water supply, you know that stuff. Nothing is accounted in GNP, they only show how much you have produced and income earned. It's very selfish, it's very not, it is very improper. Acha. Property taxes are essentially these taxes that you pay on owning a flat, owning a house, having a land, municipality taxes, etc. are not included in personal income. Well, in personal income, property tax, etc. are not counted, are not included in disposable income, are not included in personal disposable income. Property taxes are deducted only in case of disposable income, not in case of personal disposable. Sorry. Yeah, not in case of personal disposable income, but in case of disposable income. If you open personal disposable income, after contribution to social insurance has been deducted and you arrive at personal income, then you deduct two types of taxes and the non-tax payments. No direct taxes are deducted other than this. Beside this, no direct taxes are deducted. No direct taxes are deducted in case of personal disposable income. In case of disposable income, you will see a long list of direct taxes, etc. Now, direct taxes, number 28. Direct taxes include sales tax, property taxes, exclude corporate taxes. What are direct taxes? Simple definitional question. What is a direct tax? Sales tax part of direct tax? Sales tax part of indirect tax. You don't pay directly the tax, sales tax, you pay to the seller. That's why the seller is the biggest cheat in India, because the seller doesn't hand over the tax revenue to government. They don't even ask taxes from us. Even if they do collect, probably they don't hand over. Then corporate taxes are part of direct taxes. Any income tax is part of direct taxes. Property taxes are part of direct taxes. Estate duty, direct taxes. There are many other direct taxes. Customs taxes, duties that you pay when you go abroad, come abroad, from abroad with goods. The duties you pay at the airport, at the port, are all part of direct taxes. CPI as opposed to WPI. So the answer was include property taxes, B. Answer was B. For 28, answer was B. 29, CPI as opposed to WPI is a better measure of cost of living, or is a better measure of producer price, or includes more items. Which one? A. Not C, A. CPI includes lesser items, number of items than WPI, I have been telling you. Because CPI includes only a typical consumer's basket of consumption, and WPI takes into account industrial raw materials, semi-finished goods, a bundle of items, even energy, fuel, etc. सब है आपका WPI के अंदर. All right. Is it clear? The GDP deflator uses fixed weights, ignores imported items, ignores new products that are currently produced in the economy. B, ignores imported items, B. Okay, now let's go to classical model. Output level in the classical model can be affected by G and M changes. There is no G variable in classical model. M only affects nominal variables, classical dichotomy. Output is determined in the labor market with a production function. Supply side. So, answer will be C. If labor supply changes or technology shifts, output can be affected. Not G and M changes, not G and T changes. These are possibilities in a Keynesian model. dy dg, dy dt, dy dm I have done. Classical model, these possibilities don't exist. That's what I have taught. Some of you know, at least, I know not all of you. I can see some people with a big frown looking at me and looking at the screen. Classical model में answer C है, कैसे हो सकता है? A नहीं क्यों, B नहीं क्यों? अच्छा, but some of you know. All right. 32. The classical aggregate demand curve is a rectangular hyperbola, I told you. Coming from the money market equation. Straightforward question. Straight from your notes. Velocity of money increases, the demand curve will become, if you get the slope of the demand curve, it is very clear, it will get flatter. Answer is A, if velocity increases. Or incorrect? Problem है इधर? मैं तो flatter करके correct कर दिया. dp dy from the money market equation, find out what happens to the velocity. mv is equal to py, you bring p down there, dp dy, ठीक है, is 1 over mvp square. क्या भाई? 1 over mvp square. Very simple, v is in the denominator. So, flatter. Okay. 34. In the classical model, prices are determined in the labor market. Interest rate is determined in the goods market. Output is determined in the money market. Which one is correct? Very good. B. Very good. 35. If money wages double in the classical model, rate of interest also doubles. Prices also doubles. Output also doubles. Prices double. Question error है उधर में एक, prices also double होगा anyway. So, real wages are constant in the classical model. Labor demand, labor supply intersects. W over P, you get a value, it cannot change when prices change. Keynesian cross model. Horizontal supply curve assumes full employment of resources, ignores the money market. What nonsense. Supply curve and money market has no relationship. You may have said, what nonsense sir has given as alternative. Assumes underutilized capacity of firms. That's correct. Horizontal supply curve. C. Demand supply mismatches. Demand supply mismatches are signaled through intended inventory changes, through price changes in the Keynesian model, are signaled through unintended inventory changes. Answer C. Very good. The goods market clearing condition is right away in front of you. B. 39. With government, the y-axis intercept of the savings function B होगा ना? Answer is B. Answer is B. Now, this is how I have defined break-even point. Y is equal to C. That is how I have defined break-even point. So, answer होगा C. S is equal to minus T minus F. So, savings says if taxes are more than transfer receipts, there is a negative savings there at break-even point. So, what I am going to do now is topic 8, supply side model. It's a hybrid model. Look how economists and so-called researchers often try to come up with some different result and how they manipulate models. You have seen the classical model, you have seen the ISLM model, you have seen the complete Keynesian model. Now, look at this kind of a supply side model. This topic I have forgotten, topic 8 or what? It is an example of a supply side model. Topic 8, topic 8. A short discussion. It is a hybrid model, but it gives an interesting result. It has the Keynesian demand side. This kind of things began with the monetarists mostly in the 70s, 60s. It is a Keynesian demand side and it has a classical supply side. So, how will it look like? Therefore, on the demand side, you have the IS equation, on the demand side you have the IS equation. On the supply side, you have the very similar classical supply side, except one small change I will make to already what you know. I put a tax rate in the labor supply function by saying the labor supply, the number of hours they work, they look at the net wages they get, net wages, not the gross wages. So, I do not look at IIT what they give me 50,000 rupees a month, but I look at 50,000 rupees minus taxes. And this kind of a tax in the labor supply function, the one you have written there, labor supply function, often they said this is a kind of a payroll tax. That is the language they use. A payroll tax is kind of a contribution that labor has to make if they have to work towards insurance, etc. Payroll tax, unemployment insurance, welfare payments, I do not know, whatever other insurances, all right. So, the income that I get is net of that tax. So, roughly you have a labor supply function with a tax, but a classical labor supply function, देखो, no fixed wage, no money illusion, P is there in the labor supply function, labor demand as before, and you have a production function. So, now the thing is, the ISLM model, I need not draw that. You have seen ISLM model, how they are drawn, but the labor market is very interesting here. If you draw the labor market, is this clear? This algebra is clear to all of you? You know this stuff right now. By now you know this stuff. So, the labor market is very interesting. Now, in the labor market, what you have, the labor demand function is Fn, but what is the labor supply function? If W over P goes, it is Gn over 1 minus T, Gn over 1 minus T. Gn over 1 minus T. ठीक है? Because W over P is the variable against which we will draw. So, Gn divided by 1 minus T is equal to W over P. Fn is equal to W over P. W over P is the variable, real wage is the variable. So, now if a tax cut is there, what will happen? If there is a tax cut, what will happen? As T falls, 1 minus T increases. So, Gn over 1 minus T falls. So, this line will be shifting out. There is more labor supply. As T falls, there will be more supply of labor. And what will happen in the economy? Look at it. The employment in the economy will change. The employment will change from N0 to N1, and the real wages, call that omega, will change from omega naught to omega 1, where omega is equal to W over P. Employment will change. Now, given a production, imagine a production function and the 45-degree line, what is happening to the aggregate supply function, which is vertical in the classical model? It will shift to the right. So, the aggregate supply function, if you draw here, aggregate supply function y and p, which was a vertical line, will now shift to the right and will become another vertical line. So, aggregate supply function will shift to S0 to S1, and therefore, output will increase from Y0 to Y1. Will not. If employment increases, imagine the production function, more output is produced with a higher employment. So, the aggregate supply function shifts vertical line, which shifts to the right. Any difficulty with this? Any difficulty? If taxes are cut. So, if the labor supply function has a tax rate involved the way I have written it, if taxes are cut as a fiscal policy in the economy, the aggregate supply function, aggregate supply output will shift to the right, employment will increase. Okay? All right? In an ISLN diagram, therefore, if you have the complete model here, the complete model, then what you find is the following. I have a two-part, I need a two-part diagram. Now, this is the original situation. You have a classical supply side and a Keynesian demand side, ISLM. The Keynesian demand function only determines the prices. The supply side determines the output. It's a very funny model. How you solve the model is this. You go to the supply side, N and Y and W over P are solved. Then when you come to the demand side, if y is, you come to the first equation, you put in the value of y, you get the r, and you take the r value and the y value in this equation, you get the p value from the quantity theory of money, like a kind of a quantity theory of money, from the money market equation. You get the p value. It's a recursive system. The classical system is a recursive system. You get a value of n and y, given all the parameter values, and W over P is also solved, 3 equations, 3 unknowns solved. Then you come here, put the value of y, this equation has r, which solves r, then you go take the r value and the y value, put them here, you get the value of P. Any problem? All of you understood how to solve the system? So, the demand side solves prices and rate of interest, and on the supply side you get the real wage, employment and output solved. So, aggregate supply function is vertical, it is a supply determined model, classical model. Now, if taxes are cut, what is happening is this: if taxes are cut, then the IS curve becomes flatter. I hope I am correct. There is some confusion about the rectangular hyperbola is becoming flatter or steeper when, what did I say, when velocity increases. There is some discussion going on, it is unresolved, but in this case, if taxes are cut, IS curve will become flatter. You agree with me or not? If you look at the slope of the IS curve, if taxes are cut, what is the slope of the IS curve? 1 minus C into 1 minus T over IR. So, if T is cut, 1 minus T goes up, C into 1 minus T increases. So, 1 minus that falls. So, the IS curve becomes flatter. So, IS becomes flatter. The demand curve, if you notice the slope of the demand curve, the demand curve also becomes flatter and it becomes ID1. As T falls, IS shifts like this, demand shifts, and in the labor market as taxes are cut, labor supply shifts. So, aggregate supply also shifts, and the aggregate supply function also shifts to AS1. So, output in the economy increases from tax cut. The aggregate supply also shifts. The aggregate demand shifts. All right? Clear? But do you see a problem here about prices, whether it will go up or go down when both the curves shift? Diagrammatically, we do not know whether prices increase or decrease or what, because since both the curves shift, if demand were there, aggregate supply shift, price would fall, because the intersecting point is here. If supply does not shift, demand only shifts, price will go up, we know that. But when both shifts in the same direction, we do not know what the price is going to be. Effect on prices we do not know, diagrammatically speaking. So, in order to find out what is the effect on prices, we have to go through the algebra, then only we would know what is the effect on prices, because diagrammatically it is not clear. Output increases and in the labor market real wages fall. In this market initially rate of interest increases, but if LM shifts backwards, if prices increase, then it will increase further. If LM shifts rightward, how much it shifts we do not know. So, there is an uncertainty about rate of interest also, because here depending on how much price change, LM will also shift, which we do not know. There is also an uncertainty with respect to rate of interest. So, now the question is, how can we, you can ask me the question, how can we know, sir, what is the effect on prices of a tax cut? Shall we attempt a little bit of algebra computation here on the board so that the job is done? So, for that, will you allow me to erase the diagrammatic explanation? Let me erase this part. So, our objective is to find out dP dt. dy is positive, we know. We want to find dP dt. So, now in order to find dP dt, you can see what is happening. This equation, these two equations will give you the value of W over P and N. This equation will give you the value of Y. Once Y comes, this equation gives you the value of R, and this equation gives you the value of P. All right? So, let us get dr from here, substitute here, and dt change and all that. Okay. So, from IS, we have the following dy, dg's will be equal to 0. A naught के अंदर जो है सब 0. I am not interested in only t variable. So, dy is equal to c dy minus c y naught dt. Minus c, it will be new tax rate. You remember that model we were doing, new tax rate T1 dy plus IR dr. So, how much is dr? Dr is dy dy. So, it will be dr is equal to 1 minus c into 1 minus c into how much is this? C bracketed 1 minus T1 dy, and you have this term taken to the right. No, this is an exogenous term. Yeah, we can take it to the right, plus c y naught dt. This whole thing divided by IR. This whole thing divided by IR. 1 minus c into 1 minus T1 dy plus c y naught dt, whole thing divided by IR. So, you know IR, dr, put the dr here after totally differentiating from Lm, m naught is constant. So, m naught over p square dp naught over p square dp is equal to h dy plus LR dr, and dr value, this one can be substituted. So, you have minus m naught over p square dp is equal to h dy plus what will it be? LR over IR into 1 minus c into 1 minus T1 plus c y naught dt. Am I correct? एक गलती है, dy is missing here. dy is missing. Now, you have another dy here. So, it will become therefore h plus LR over IR, this bracketed term, the whole thing dy plus c y naught LR over IR dt. Am I correct or not? Of course, this is all right, minus m naught over p square dp. Now, leave this as one part. Now, come to the production function, this part. So, from the production function, what you have dy is equal to Fn dn from labor demand and labor supply, what you have is W over P can be equated. So, you will have Fn is equal to Gn divided by 1 minus T. Am I correct? W over P eliminated from these two equations, or Fnn dn is equal to G subscript n dn divided by 1 minus T plus 1 minus T square, and it will be plus T. So, Gn over 1 minus T square dt. Am I correct? 1 minus T could T with respect to T, if you differentiate, it will be Gn over 1 minus T square into dt, and that minus sign will cancel out, become plus. So, now I can group the n functions n's. So, it will be Fnn minus Gn divided by 1 minus T into dn is equal to Gn over 1 minus T square dt. All right. So, this will be 1 minus T Fn n minus Gn divided by 1 minus T into dn is equal to Gn over 1 minus T square dt. Therefore, dn is equal to this number Gn over 1 minus T square, the whole thing divided by this 1 minus T Fnn minus Gn divided by 1 minus T dt. 1 minus T and 1 minus T will cancel out. So, 1 will go and 1 will go here. All right, sir? Which one? This one. This one here. G subscript n. Very good. This is correct, and this will be G subscript n. Okay. So, dn is this. This dn can be substituted into the production function. So, dy becomes, therefore, dy is equal to Fn into a bundle of terms which is Gn over 1 minus T this divided by 1 minus T Fn n minus G subscript n divided by 1 minus t is gone into dt. This is dy. So call this number 2. Now, in number 2, we have dp, we have a bundle of dy terms. So all we need to do is to substitute that dy value here. So what you have is, substitute for dy in 1. What do you have? You have minus m naught over p squared dp is equal to h plus lr over ir, ब्रैकेट के अंदर कुछ है, which is how much? 1 minus c into 1 minus t, that's all in the bracket. All right. Now, this whole thing is dy. So this whole thing is multiplied by this, which is fn gn divided by 1 minus t. So you can take the 1 minus t downstairs now. So which is, beg your pardon? Beg your pardon? G of n over 1 minus t is fn. So you can put it fn squared. Fine, put fn squared because fn is equal to gn over 1 minus t. So this is fn squared, and divided by 1 minus t into this whole thing. So it will be 1 minus t squared fnn minus g subscript n into 1 minus t. Am I correct? ये 1 minus t को इधर multiply कर दिया. हाँ? Which one has been taken? Absolutely right. So it will remain as it is. 1 minus t fnn minus gn. Great. But this is the dy term, and after this you have to write dt. Whole thing is multiplied with a dt, and there is a dt there, cy naught lr over ir dt plus cy naught lr over ir dt. Now, look one thing, this entire dt term, let's see if we can sign it. The coefficients of dt, h positive, ir over lr over ir positive, this is positive, fn squared is positive, fnn is a negative, minus gn is positive, so minus gn is negative. So this term is negative. cy naught is positive, lr over ir is positive. So what you see here is h plus lr over ir, this term positive, this term negative, plus a positive. Therefore, dp over dt, which is h plus this term into fn square over all these terms plus C y naught LR over IR, the whole thing divided by minus M naught P square, coefficients with the dP. Since one term is negative, this term can be negative, will be negative. So, this first term is negative, second term is positive. So, now let me get another chalk to make it more colorful. This is precisely the problem which you saw in the diagram. The problem is this is less than 0, this is greater than 0, and this thing less than 0. So, less than 0, greater than 0, we do not know numerator which is stronger. This is coming from the demand function directly. This is a combination of demand and supply. FN भी है, IR भी है. This is demand function, negative. So, if the numerator this dominates, then negative negative means positive, dP dt is unidirectional. If taxes are cut, prices will fall. So, the demand curve will shift more than supply curve and the prices will fall. Otherwise, if this is negative, this is positive, the positive term dominates and the negative term, you are positive in the numerator, negative already in the denominator, it becomes less than 0, which means if taxes are cut, prices may go up. So, the effect on price, this is the conclusion which I told you diagrammatically, that dP dt can be greater than or less than 0. But dy dt, however, dy dt always less than 0. That means, if taxes are cut, output increases, but this one we do not know. So, I used an experimental model which is like a research paper written once upon a time, a hybrid model which the monetarists have been doing a lot, Keynesian type demand function, but then a classical supply function, and then it gets complicated. This is known as supply side. So, it is a very classical tradition. If you have classical supply, it is a very classical model. So, what they are trying to say, if you now pay attention, in recessions and particularly in stagflation in the 80s, the Western world was using a policy which even Obama was trying to do, and before Obama, President Bush was also trying to do, and these are known as, how about boosting the economy and controlling inflation through tax cuts. They talk about tax cuts a lot. If you pay attention, you would hear that. Essentially, they have this kind of a policy. If taxes are cut, demand gets a boost, but the supply also gets a boost. All right? So, output increases from both directions, and then you have, of course, the prices. But whether prices will come down or not, you do not know, because the effect in a static model is that we have found that the effect of a cut on prices is uncertain. That pink box, itna algebra karne ke baad, unfortunately, I wasted half a day today, so what? But I wanted to show you how now you can move with these models, combine them like in a chemistry lab. You know, ये element लिया, वो element लिया, एक बना दिया compound. So, economists were doing it. Supply side, supply curve, Keynesian side, demand curve, join करके. Now, let's talk about tax cut policy. This is very popular still, but now in the US, tax cut policy is not working much, not very effective. And I guess the Obama expected that it will work as the way it worked during the 1980s, because in the 1980s tax cuts were huge. Now, Obama cannot have a huge tax cut anymore because taxes are already quite low. It is not working. So, it also depends upon the issues like where taxes are at the moment and therefore how much cuts you can have and to boost economy.